Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be exploring the worlds of air, water, and weather. It'll be like a science class, but way more fun. We're going to uncover all sorts of cool secrets about our planet, just like you're learning in third grade.
That's right. We're going to look at things we see every day in a whole new way. You know, even grown-ups are always learning new things about these important topics.
Exactly. So get ready to be amazed because we're about to dive into the world of air. You know, the stuff we breathe.
It's everywhere around us, but we can't even see it. Can you believe that? It's like an invisible superhero that keeps us alive.
An invisible superhero. I like that. But air isn't just one thing, right?
Right. Air is actually a mix of different gases, like a yummy fruit salad, but for the air. We've got oxygen, which helps us breathe and makes fire burn. Then there's nitrogen, which helps plants grow big and strong.
So it's like air is a team. All these gases working together. Imagine if we could see all those gases swirling around us. It'd be like a colorful dance.
It would be pretty amazing. And remember how your clothes dry after you wash them? That's because of water vapor in the air. It's like the air gives the water a ride up to the sky.
Oh, I get it. And I've seen those little dust particles dancing in a beam of sunlight. Does that mean there are tiny little things floating in the air all the time?
There are. Some of them are good and some are not so good, like germs. That's why it's so important to wash our hands and cover our mouths when we sneeze.
Okay, now I'm a little grossed out, but it's good to know. So air is invisible, but it's full of important stuff that helps us and the planet. Now let's move on to another amazing thing. Water.
Water is just as important as air. We drink it, plants need it, animals need it. It's like the lifeblood of our planet. And guess what? It's always on the move.
Water on the move. Tell me more.
Imagine water going on an exciting journey. It travels from lakes and rivers to the sky and then back down to Earth. This journey is called the water cycle.
That sounds like an awesome adventure. How does the water travel all the way up to the sky?
Well, the sun warms up the water, and it turns into something called water vapor. It's like magic. The water disappears into the air, but it's still there.
So it's like the water is playing hide and seek with us. That's so cool. But how does it come back down?
As the water vapor goes higher, it gets colder. And when it gets cold enough, guess what happens? It turns back into tiny little water droplets and forms.
Clouds. I knew it. Clouds are like giant fluffy pillows made of water.
Exactly. And when these clouds get full of water droplets, they release the water back to Earth as rain.
So the rain is just water that went on a trip to the sky and came back down to say hello? That's amazing.
It is. And this whole cycle keeps happening over and over again, which is why we have water to drink and plants can grow.
Wow, the water cycle is like a giant water slide for the water. It goes up, slides down, and then goes up again. That's so much fun.
Now that we've learned about the journeys of air and water, let's talk about something that affects both of them, weather.
Weather. That's what we see outside every day, right? Like sunshine, rain, wind, and all that.
Yes, weather is what's happening in the air around us right now. It decides what clothes we wear, whether we need an umbrella, and what games we can play outside.
So weather is like the boss of the outside world. And there's so many different types of weather, right?
There are. Like when it's super hot and sunny, we can go swimming and have picnics. But when it's cold and snowy, we can build snowmen and have snowball fights.
I love those kinds of days.
Yeah.
And what about when it's cloudy? Are those the days when it's going to rain?
Sometimes clouds are like clues about the weather. They tell us if rain is coming or if it's going to be a sunny day.
So clouds are like little weather reporters in the sky.
That's cool. And what about wind? Sometimes it's just a gentle breeze, but other times it can blow you over.
That's right. Wind is just air that's moving around. Sometimes it's gentle and sometimes it's strong, like in a storm.
Okay, so we've got sunshine, rain clouds, wind. Are there any other types of weather I'm forgetting?
Oh, there are so many. There's hail, which is like little balls of ice falling from the sky. And there's fog, which makes everything look blurry and mysterious. Wow, weather is way more interesting than I thought. It's like nature's way of putting on a different show every day.
Exactly. Each type of weather plays a special role in our world. And you know what's even cooler? These different types of weather happen in patterns kind of like a calendar.
A calendar for weather? What do you mean?
Well, think about it. We have different types of weather at different times of the year. Those are called seasons. And they're like nature's way of changing things up and keeping our planet interesting. It's like having a giant calendar for the whole year with different weather adventures planned for each season. There's summer, autumn, winter, spring, and a special season called monsoon where it rains a lot.
Wow, that's so cool. I love how nature has all these special plans for us. It's like we get to experience something new every few months.
Exactly. Each season brings its own unique kind of weather and fun activities. Let's start with summer, the hottest season of the year.
Summer is my favorite. It's when school is out and we get to go swimming, have picnics, and eat lots of ice cream. What's not to love about summer?
It's definitely a time for fun in the sun. Then, as the days start to get shorter and the air gets cooler, we move into autumn.
Autumn is when the leaves on the trees change into beautiful colors like red, orange, and yellow. It's like nature is having a giant art show.
And then comes winter, the coldest season of the year.
Winter is when we bundle up in warm clothes, drink hot chocolate, and maybe even get to build a snowman if it snows. It's like a magical winter wonderland.
It's definitely a cozy season. But after winter comes spring, when everything starts to wake up and come back to life.
Spring is when we see flowers blooming everywhere and baby animals are born. It's like the world is getting a fresh start.
And lastly, we have the monsoon season, which is all about rain, rain and more rain.
Monsoon season is when the plants get all the water they need to grow big and strong. It's like a giant bath for the earth.
Exactly. So you see, each season brings its own special kind of weather and activities. It's like having a new adventure every few months.
This is so fascinating. I never thought about weather and seasons this way before. I feel like I'm learning so much.
That's what's so great about science. There's always something new to discover. Now, remember how we talked about air being a mix of different gases? Well, guess what? Even a tiny change in the amount of these gases can affect the weather and even change the seasons.
Whoa, really? So if there's more of a certain gas in the air, it can make it hotter or colder.
That's right. And it's not just the amount of gases, but also things like pollution from cars and factories. These can affect the air and change the weather too.
That makes me think about all the things we can do to help keep the air clean, like riding our bikes instead of driving cars.
Exactly. Every little bit helps. It's like we're all part of a team working together to keep our planet healthy. Now let's go back to water for a second. Remember how we talked about the water cycle?
Yeah, the water's super fun adventure, up to the sky and back down again.
Well, the water cycle is super important for life on Earth, but it's also really delicate. If something disrupts the cycle, it can cause problems like droughts where there's not enough water or floods where there's too much water.
Oh no. So it's like the water cycle needs to stay balanced, just like a seesaw.
You got it. And just like with air pollution, we can do things to help keep the water cycle balanced, like using less water at home and planting trees which help absorb water and prevent flooding.
Wow. That's like we have superpowers to help keep the air and water healthy. That makes me feel like a superhero.
You are a superhero. We all are. Now, remember how we talked about weather being different in different parts of the world? Well, that's because of something called climate.
Climate. Is that different from weather?
It is. Think of it this way. Weather is what's happening outside right now, like if it's sunny or rainy. Climate is the average weather in a place over a long time, like years or even decades.
So climate is like the big picture of weather. Like if a place is usually hot and sunny, has a hot climate.
Exactly. And just like with weather, climate can change too. Sometimes these changes are natural, but sometimes they're caused by things people do, like pollution.
That sounds serious. What happens if the climate changes too much?
Well, it can cause all sorts of problems, like making some places hotter and drier while other places get more rain and storms. It can even affect the animals and plants that live in those places.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. But it also makes me want to learn more about how we can help protect our planet and keep the climate stable.
That's the spirit. Remember, even though these topics seem complicated, even small actions can make a big difference. Every time you turn off the lights when you leave a room or recycle a plastic bottle, you're helping to protect our planet.
This deep dive has been so much fun. It's amazing to think about how all these things, air, water, weather, climate, are all connected and how we can all play a part in keeping our planet healthy.
It's truly incredible. And the more we learn about these things, the better we can understand and care for our amazing world.
I know we've covered a lot of ground today, but before we wrap up, I have one more question for you.
Oh, I love questions. What's on your mind?
Well, we've talked about the water cycle and how rain is a big part of it. But what about snow? How does that fit in?
That's a great question. You see, when the water vapor in the air gets really, really cold, instead of forming raindrops, it turns into tiny ice crystals.
Ooh, ice crystals.
Yeah.
Like those sparkly decorations we put on Christmas trees.
Exactly. Those ice crystals clump together and form snowflakes. And when they get heavy enough, they fall down as snow.
So it's like rain, but made of ice. That's so cool. I love catching snowflakes on my tongue. They're so delicate and pretty.
They are. And just like rain, snow helps to replenish the water on Earth when it melts. It's all part of that amazing water cycle.
Wow. This deep dive has been such an eye-opener. I feel like I've learned so much about the world around me.
Me too. And remember, learning should always be an adventure. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep that curiosity alive.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive into the world of air, water, and weather. It's been so fun exploring with you.
It was a pleasure. Until next time.